Hey guys, welcome to a little bit of woo woo. This episode is being recorded on July 7th at 10:30 Pacific. It would have been about an hour ago if it wasn't for the fact that StreamYard, my recording services, for some reason wouldn't let me change to the good mic. So now you get to hear this gamer's mic. Don't you love the orange cord? It's kind of the best part of it, I think. So, I didn't want to not record something because I couldn't get the mic to work. So we're just gonna play, okay? So first and foremost, this is for entertainment purposes only. I am not a doctor. I am not a lawyer. I'm not a financial planner. I am none of those things. If you need one of those, call one of those. I am also, and this is true, sometimes just plain wrong. So, don't buy a house based on anything I said. Having said that, I'm right a lot. Okay, right a lot. Sometimes I don't want to be right, and there are things that sometimes come true, and I wish I hadn't said it because it turned out to be right, and I didn't want it to be right. I wanted to be totally wrong. So, um, geez, I am so, so sorry for all those people in Texas, all that flooding. It just breaks my heart to see that those girls in Texas didn't make it, and all of the other people. It's just the saddest thing. Just the sad 4th of July. Oh my gosh, just awful. Anyway, but moving on from that, I think we're all in a little bit of mourning over what happened then, as we were celebrating. What was really kind of a fun weekend for a lot of us. Personally, I celebrated it in the most American of ways. I went shopping and I did a lot of eating. Oh, and there was some fireworks, because that's just what we do here. But yeah, the shopping, of course, is the shopping and eating are the most American of pastimes. But let's talk about what happened. So some of you guys, actually everybody knows this, the BBL, Brazilian butt lift, did pass, obviously. And it's going to have some very interesting consequences. I was seeing some, I think a lot of people are predicting this, so I'm not the only one saying it. This is really going to be a tipping point in a lot of ways, not just for the political parties involved, but I do feel like it's going to be a tipping point for people, the way they feel too. A lot of people are looking at that situation and just wondering where our values and our priorities really are. And what's interesting about it is, I Googled it to try and figure out, okay, what's actually in this sucker? It's 1,000 pages long. And unfortunately, we do know our legislators did not read it. I got a bunch of weird answers. Some things I think just weren't true because the AI Google is terribly unhelpful. but a lot of the looks like a lot of the Medicaid cuts aren't supposed to happen until 2027, 2028, and same with the SNAP benefits cuts. The tax breaks that they were calling tax breaks were actually just extensions of Trump's 2017 tax breaks that he'd put in. It just made them permanent. So for people who got the air quotes tax breaks, it it just means that their taxes didn't go up this year. For those of you who thought, geez, I'm in the top cohort, probably not terribly many of these people watching this videos are, but yeah, it's just your taxes are from the same as last year, okay? And other people a little bit down the road are going to be losing things that really matters to them a lot more than the couple of $1,000 that you might have missed out on your taxes. Anyway, but that's what happened, okay? So on 4th of July, I woke up to my neighbor with I think it's a Dodge Duster, very loud car. He was working on his car, freaking loud, and one of the most American muscle cars, right? My neighbor also has two Teslas, so, and I was thinking about the contrast here. Like he's got this gas guzzler, probably gets 2 gallons to the mile, and then this car that doesn't have to have gas in it. I was thinking about how that when you're being your most authentic self, when you are being your most authentic version of yourself, there will be contrasts like that. The vegan who also likes to go hunting, probably not as many of those. The person who has, 3 Teslas and gets mad at their neighbors for not recycling enough, but also has a Dodge Dart that takes more gas than you could even imagine. If you're one of those people, just know that sometimes when you're being your most authentic self, not everybody's going to like you because you're not going to fit in those little bubbles. You're not going to fit in the slots. This person is a Democrat. Democrats behave a certain way. They think a certain way. They have the same values. That may not be the case when you're being your most authentic self. You won't be able to be put in slots like that. And some people are just plain not going to like you for it. I'm just saying that's just part of the game. But understand that's part of authenticity. The reason I bring this up is because people ask me about how do I be my most authentic self? How do I be what my soul wants me to be? acknowledging the things about you that make you different than other people is a key. And it's where I wanted to start today, because I thought about my neighbor, and he's quite a character. He got mad at me for accidentally putting a recycling thing in the trash. And this is a dude with a car that uses more gas than my cars will ever use. I'm just saying. And he has 2 Teslas. Um, let's talk about what happened with the BBL. One of the things I was seeing with it is, and humor me on this one because I've never worked in a rural hospital. I was seeing that there's going to be some unintended consequences that are not expected, and I don't. What I was seeing didn't make a lot of sense. So somebody in the comments is going to say what I'm talking about. But like, are these rural hospitals also teaching centers? Are they places where nurses become certified nurse assistants or things like that? I feel like there will be some unintended consequences of fewer nurses or fewer nursing staff as a result of some of these smaller hospitals having to do budget cuts, not having the money to do teaching programs or other programs like that. I can tell you that, a tiny hospital in rural southern Arkansas is probably not going to be spending $100,000 on a new Pyxis machine in the next 2 years, or $50,000 on a ventilator. One of those prices is right. The other one I'm not sure about. And that's going to be one of the unintended consequences. We have a lot of medical device companies in the US. A lot of those people are going to be laying off some very expensive staff as a result of what's happening. Also, because these budget things are put out further in advance, there's just going to be a lot of like odd things you wouldn't have thought about as being the unintended consequences of what happened. That's what I'm seeing. I'm sorry if you're one of those people who's going to lose your bennies. It is very sad. It's very sad. And the SNAP benefits is just heartbreaking. No child should ever have to go to bed hungry. No child should ever have to go to school hungry. That's what's happened. These things are going to really hurt the people that voted for it in the midterms. I'm not sure about the bloodbath. I do still think it's going to be fairly close. I do think the Democrats are going to get both the House and the Senate, but I think it's still going to be a fight, and I think it's still going to be a struggle, because there's a lot of people that aren't completely aligned to the Democratic Party in that way, and are still going to vote against it just because they don't like them. And but I do see that we are at a tipping point. And I would say also spare a thought for the 2 representatives who are of the Republican Party who voted against it. Uh, for their safety. I can never think of the other guy's name. Thomas Massey comes to mind, because I've tuned into him, and I've told you guys before, I've tuned into politicians before, and most of the time on both sides, most of the time the energy is just gross. It's just nasty. And I always have this "would I buy a car from him" rule. Okay, so when I tune into Thomas Massey, I might not necessarily vote for this guy, but his energy is very nice. I would trust him with my car. Let's put it that way. And I was concerned about his safety. I do feel like there has been some threats. I feel like he's fine. I feel like he's also going to get reelected. I feel like his constituents are happy about him saying no to something that was not good for them, and it's not good for the country. And whether you agree with the why those 2 politicians voted against it doesn't matter. We're on the same side. Everybody thought it wasn't good for the country, and they voted against it. And I spare a thought for their safety. Let's put it that way. I feel like they're going to be okay. The other guys, I can't remember his name, and he's really hard to tune into. But Massey, his energy is better, so it's easier to tune into. I kind of like him, actually. Uh, Not necessarily his politics. I don't really know what it is, to be honest with you. Okay, so one of the things that I think all of us are going to have to do is start to look at right sizing our lifestyle. And I'm not saying, I want to say cut back. Yeah, right sizing your lifestyle. I would say more of a minimalist approach. But at some point, the cutting back does start to have diminishing returns. When you cut back so much that you start to feel poor and you get stuck in that poverty consciousness, that's not healthy either. So look at kind of how to create the balance. I would say for any effort that you put to cutting back on an expense, you have to put an equal effort into expanding your income streams. Most people really do need to have 3 or 4 revenue streams at all times, just because it's helpful and it's more practical. I would encourage you to figure out ways to do that that are fun, that are playful, that bring you joy, because you're going to need to start thinking. Some of you need to get some, I've talked about this before, need to get some additional training, need to get some certificates, need to get a little something. Work on that this summer when things are so crazy, because the opportunity will be there, the energy will be there, the chaos will be there. And that chaos is energy that you can grab from the ethers and use to make changes for yourself too. Okay. And the most important thing you can do for yourself right now is to protect the health of yourself. And so the best insurance you could get is really just have to stay out of the healthcare system altogether by not needing to, by eating better, by eating better, exercising. I'm talking to myself, by the way. 3 fingers pointed back at me and one at you. Eating better, not going crazy on the holidays, and getting more exercise and spending more time in nature. One thing I've always heard from the spirit guides, people ask me, how do I connect with them? I don't know how I connect. They connect with you all the time. They're always talking to you. You can always talk to them. You can argue with them. They don't mind if you curse at them. They have a sense of humor. Okay. But it's easier for them to get in touch with you when you're in a more relaxed state. So there's 2 states that are easier for the guides to connect with you: when you're having fun, when you're doing something playful, going to a park, driving in a car, when you're in like sort of a relaxed state. If driving in a car is relaxed, for some people it's not. I find it very relaxing. But when you're relaxed in your car, your spirit guides can give you information that way. They will do a lot of things to give you bits of information. They'll change the radio stations. They will tap someone on the shoulder ahead of you in line at the Starbucks and have them talk to their girlfriend about something that you were interested or that you needed to hear. Just pay attention when you keep getting the same message 3 or 4 times. Sometimes it's your guides like, look, I meant it. I really need you to listen to this. And also pay attention to if your cat hops on your lap when something is on TV, like something in particular, like a news story that you need to pay attention to. Sometimes the cats like to get in on this fun too. I'm just saying, just saying. Um, okay, what else? Oh, people want to know about the Elon's third party. I keep getting that question a lot in my readings. Geez, I don't really think much is going to happen there. I feel like there's some disclosure events coming with Elon Musk that are gonna make his name not something people want to be associated with. Don't get me wrong, politicians will always take money from a donor. They will. Well, I don't really see too many people rushing to align to his brand. Um, I also see, more threats between the two guys there, back and forth. Well, I might just take all of your contracts away from you. Well, I might just tell everybody what you did last summer. I mean, you don't need to be psychic to know that that game is playing out on the television. It's kind of entertaining, except I don't love that we're all kind of collateral damage in it. Whatever. I will say though that like with the politicians, there will be people and organizations and groups working together, particularly now through like the end of the year. And this has been already kind of happening, but who have a similar goal but not necessarily a similar agenda. So I'll give you a quick example from my own life. I used to be a part of the Sierra Club, so I knew stuff, right, that was going on with the Sierra Club. At one point, the Sierra Club and the NRA, National Rifle Association, partnered on. There was I can't remember what state it was. I'm going to say North Carolina. Somebody was trying to clear cut park land, and this particular area had good seasonal hunting, and also it was a place that a lot of hikers went. Those 2 organizations partnered together to fight this situation. Even though they really don't usually work together, they work together and they were able to save this area. So there will be more and more of those kinds of organizations working together on some goals and some situations, but again, cross purposes on other things. That's okay. Just accept that we're going to be doing more of that cooperation, even if we don't fundamentally agree with each other all the time, if that makes sense. Okay, I hope it does. Also, I was seeing, yeah, along the healthcare lines, my notes were written in a weird way this time. I was also seeing insurance companies were going to use this as an opportunity to raise prices on a lot of their policies, but also lower bennies. So I do feel like plan on healthcare costing a lot more next year. I don't mean a lot more, but it'll be nickel and dime here and there. So if you're the person who has to go to the dermatologist twice a year and your insurance company only will pay for one of those visits, yeah, plan on that one that you have to pay for costing more, and the one that the insurance will pay for costing more, because the dermatologist is like, look, they're only paying us half what they used to pay. You're gonna have to make the difference. I do think we're gonna be seeing more of that because of these. I feels like a part of an unintended consequence of the Medicaid thing, and And I feel like they also are going to use it as a chance to like blame what happened with the legislation, and say that's part of it and just raise some prices quietly like they pretty much always do. Okay. Um, Another thing I was being asked about, what's going on with 47's health? What's going on with his mental clarity? We've all seen clips, right, on TV. Um, I was being shown that behind closed doors, plans are being made. How do we mitigate this? Plans are being made to put Vance more in the public. Um, it's interesting though because I do feel like there's some acknowledgement that Vance or Trump are very, very different personalities, and that there's a lot of stuff that Trump can get away with that Vance probably couldn't get away with just because of their, the charisma factor. But I do see a lot of talk behind closed doors about what they can do. Can we take his phone away? Not let him tweet? I'm just saying. Now, having said that, I still think it's going to be a ways off before we see any change of administration, but the conversations are happening now, is what I'm being shown. Lots of them behind closed doors. What can we do? Plans are being made. Things will move quickly once, I do feel like he may retire out for health reasons. At least that's what they're going to say. There's some disclosure that will happen either before or kind of just after it, but part of that will be the disclosure that's coming, some scandalous type things coming. I do see him, stepping down, and I do think that Vance will be the next president. However long he lasts, I don't know, but that's what I'm seeing. And I think it's still a little bit out, but the conversation is really happening. The other conversations, though, that I was seeing is that behind closed doors, lots of other countries are having conversations that normally would involve the president of the United States, and they're not. They're having conversations behind closed doors. They don't want to talk to him. They don't trust him. They don't trust us anymore. I understand. Um, but I do feel like that's going to get figured out. Like I can see the Trump administration being like, wait. You guys had a party and you didn't invite me? You didn't tell me this was going on? Why, I should be there. I should have been there. We may even see some angry, Twitter posts or X posts. I look for that in the news, but I do see lots of conversations, particularly around Middle East talks, happening. I mean, it's happening now. It's just like, is it going to be on the news? Probably not. I don't know. Some of the fallout will, I think, though. Geopolitics, geez, lots of anger, lots of vitriol, and people in general are very frustrated right now with what's going on. I know I've said this before, and I'm going to say be extra vigilant right now about just, if you find yourself in a situation where people are being overly aggressive, it's okay to just say, you know what, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's terrible. I'm leaving. And just walk away. It's fine. You don't have to win every conflict. I would say that's kind of the better strategy right now, because there's just going to be a lot of this kind of thing happening, more disclosures, particularly about stuff going on in the Middle East. I think we're going to be hearing a lot about what's really been going on there from some unexpected sources. There are a lot of great YouTube videos where you can get a lot of content that is just not on the mainstream media. It's interesting how YouTube has started to be doing the reporting, and not YouTube itself, but people on YouTube, former reporters are doing reporting that our media is not doing. I find that very interesting, and doing it in long form. So we're seeing, former meteorologists going out to Texas and showing the aftermath of these storms. I enjoy it. I like it, and I do feel like we're actually getting more unbiased news from just people with their phones than we are from our mainstream media, which is just giving us just a tiny little piece of the narrative. And a lot of things are quietly dropping out of the radar, right? Quietly, this administration is quietly reversing some of the things they've done. Mr. Garcia is actually back from El Salvador, you guys. Did you guys know that? He's still in custody, but that quietly happened. I feel like they may even quietly delay the garnishing of wages if you don't pay your student loans. I feel like that might quietly get delayed, and it may not be in the mainstream news. I'm not sure on that one, so don't count on it, but I feel like that might happen, and we might be hearing about that soon. You know, it's interesting how I feel like they're just gonna quietly undo some of the things that people have been the most concerned about. Okay, what else? Personally, I would say that I'm a little bit more concerned with this bill about how the gap between the haves and the have-nots is just getting wider, and the aggravation and the anger from the have-nots, from really everyone, is starting to get more loud and more pronounced. You're going to be seeing more of that at the end of the year. And I'm so sorry to say this to you guys, but I do feel like these ICE raids are actually just going to get more escalated. It's going to start to peter out. It feels like September, October, November-ish. I almost feel like they're running out of money. I don't know why I feel that. I don't have any inside information on that, but that's kind of, it feels like there's some budgeting things. It feels like these operation is costing a lot more than they thought it would, and they're having less success because the real criminals are hiding. They're not easy to find. The people they're rounding up are, the ones picking food, you know, and that have been here a long time. Um, I don't know. I feel like they're going to have to change their strategy, but I do see that continuing until the end of the year, you guys. I'm sorry. Okay, so what else? Oh, Prime Day is this week. And yeah, Jeff Bezos just got married. I know that was a very expensive wedding, and I'm sure that it's going to make for a very expensive divorce later. So, if you feel like you want to help him out, Prime Day is this week. Do your part if you do, or don't, and just shop locally. And that's really better for the world, I would say. That's good. The last thing I want to say on this is that your guides want you to know that you are loved, that you are so important, that the world is going to be just fine, that what's happening now is really just a blip on the radar, that the frustrations and the aggravation that you're feeling, and the fear that you're feeling right now, it's easy to tap into it. It's easy to get stuck in it. It is quicksand. It's an infection that we've all got right now, particularly if we've been watching what's going on in Texas. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, you guys. But try to step out of it. For every minute you're watching on TV, you need to be doing some self-development, learning a new skill, reading up. Lots of people are asking me about different uh, awakening type experiences that they're having. A lot of them are asking about new careers, Akashic Records training. I've had a lot of these trainings. I took, I created you guys. There was like a spell where I went like 2 or 3 and I took every weird class I could take. I took the Akashic Records training. I thought it was great. It's not terribly hard. I also know how to do past life regressions. I don't do them for clients, but that's another one that's not terribly hard. It just takes some time to learn how to do it. It's not, you could learn it. Trust me, you can learn it. If it's interesting, you can learn it. Lots of energy work, lots of people getting inspired to do more spiritual work and looking for ways to get some training. I applaud that. I love the idea of getting training rather than just calling yourself a psychic and hanging a shingle. Please get some. I've had a lot of training. Mostly, honestly, the most important thing about training for me, though, was learning when someone really isn't a client or really should actually be referred to, a higher level of care. I think that was one of the benefits of getting training. And also for me personally, the benefits of training was that when I was doing readings for people before I got a lot of help getting I would get a lot of random bits of information, but the person in front of me really wanted to know, should I be dating Bob or Bill, not about their new car coming or the new state. Uh, and that's one of the things that can be very helpful with training, is being able to zero in on one particular bit of information that a particular person wants to know. That's what I would encourage for all of you guys. I would also encourage you to spend more time in nature, spend more time in play. If you're feeling like you want to move in the next year, start shopping for new cities or new states this year. It'd be a great summer to do that. It's going to be warm out here, but it's going to be less crowds at all of the touristy places. Disneyland is going to be pretty dead, I think. If you're interested in it, oh my God, it's so expensive, you guys, to go to Disneyland. I'm just saying. Maybe if there's a good movie coming out, go watch that. Take your victories where you can. Personally, for me, I love the Tour de France. July is Tour de France month. For most of July, I will be spending a few hours a day watching people cycle through France. So, I will enjoy that victory, and I will enjoy it for what it is, which is just like fun for me. So find those things for yourself. Know that it's going to be okay. And I love you guys. And I'll probably see you on Thursday, unless something crazy happens, and you'll see me sooner. But let's hope that nothing crazy happens. Okay. I love you guys. I'll see you again soon. Bye.